It was good. You know, we didn't go very long, about an hour and a half, and we'll have a even shorter one tomorrow morning, and then let them go home for a few days. So the energy's been good so far.
How do you kind of balance, like, not going too hard on them because you don't want to, like, you know, wear their legs out versus being hard enough on them to keep them sharp?
Yeah, just having been to a few bowls and learning through trial and error early, you know, how you go about doing it. And some of it is the calendar too, like how many days are they going to be home? They're going to be home for 4 days. Do you want to get some work in before they go? And so you play the balance. Okay, let's get ready to play a game, yet we want them to be fresh when we get to the bowl site. So we're going to have, you know, a regular week when we get to the bowl site as far as a Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday practice, and I think that'll help us.
Having gone through what you've gone through already here in terms of practice, where do you feel like the biggest benefit has been from these extra practices so far?
Well, we've gotten a lot of work done with the young guys and have had a chance to evaluate them a little bit more than we would maybe have done during the season. I think the guys have learned a little bit, but you know, I think as far as what that helps you for next year, probably a little overrated. But I think what it helps us from evaluating our guys, it's been a real good plus, and it's kind of helped us. Okay, in recruiting, I think we're going to be okay here in the next couple of years. We better find maybe we're not going to be okay here, so it's helped us in that regard.
So what is the schedule over the next week or so for the players and also the coaches? Yeah,
the coaches, we're going to be here through Wednesday because of the signing period with the recruits. You know, the players will practice tomorrow morning at 8. Be done by 9:30, and then they'll be on their way home. And then whether they're going to come with us, travel from Tucson to the bowl site on the 22nd, or come from home to the bowl site on the 22nd, we'll all gather there at 3 o'clock on the 22nd.
So some of them will travel on their own?
Yeah, a lot. There's probably more than half.
Is that because they're going to be in California anyway, kind of thing?
Or they'll be wherever they're going to be. They can go wherever they want for the next 4 days. So I'm going to make sure, I'm going to give them some reminders and make sure they take care of themselves and get ready to play a game when they come back.
So, you know, yesterday Oregon faces Boise State, and like their offense all of a sudden like isn't functioning the way it was, and they were on a roll coming in. The point being, is there a certain element to bowl games where you kind of don't know exactly what you're going to get?
Yeah, that's a good point. I don't know if, you know, people say, well, your momentum from the end of the year. You know, if you play a week or two after the last game, maybe, but if you're playing a month, I think it's really not as relevant. You know, you might get a couple guys back healthy or something like that, but it's really, I don't know if you know for sure. Again, haven't been in a bunch of them. I felt pretty good about, you know, our guys' mindsets going to bowl games and matter where they're at. But and I think they're excited about this. There's no question that it's going to be an outstanding experience for them. But as I told them, the best experience is when you win. So that's where our focus is.
So the dead period starts tomorrow, a few days until the signing period. What do the next couple of days entails for you guys as a staff in terms of meetings? And
it's not as much drama as maybe in the past February signing dates are. You know, we think we have a pretty good handle on who's going to sign and then what we got to get going forward.
Do you go into it expecting it to go smoothly, or do you keep yourself kind of open for some surprises because they're kids?
You hope
and
you don't have
know?
Too many. We've had some in the past, both good and bad. Again, we're going to meet about it in the next couple of days too, but I don't expect a whole lot of surprises on Wednesday.
When you're recruiting a player, how much consideration do you give to the player's family, their parents, the way they were raised, the character that they seem to have?
Well, character is no question. I think, you know, a lot of days the dynamic has changed a lot over the last 30 years in recruiting, and you're recruiting a lot of guys that, you know, the male dominant figure might be their high school coach or an uncle or somebody. You know, it's a lot of single parent, no parent homes, and all kinds of different backgrounds. And you know, we try to kick the tires, so to speak, as much as we can as far as his attitude, his character, work ethic, and the fit for Arizona. And sometimes you miss on that, but I think that's a lot of times that's our job as coaches to understand all the dynamics, and not just so to know what kind of success he may or may not have, but how are we going to approach him? How do you coach him? And we coach them all pretty hard, but there are some guys you got to kind of ease into that a little bit more than others.
Was there anything that stood out about Khalil's family when you sat down with them?
Well, yeah, I thought, you know, he had, you know, a really good family. It's a family structure that, you know, is very supportive, but also made him have discipline academically and athletically, and so. I always use the term, he was raised up, not jerked up. And, you know, he was raised really well.
In terms of the actual process, technology has kind of changed things. Is it still faxes that come in, or what's the actual process for all that?
Yeah, that's a good one. We still use faxes, but there's other ways to, I guess you could get like through your screenshots of the letter of intent, and you know, that's a lot more modern and up to date. I think the biggest change is because the way you can communicate now as opposed to the past, you know, where you can, even though it's a dead period, you can communicate through texting and social media. So you think it'd be less surprises because of that, but there's still a few.
Do you have any good signing day stories of when something maybe went wrong with just trying to figure out a fax
machine?
Well,
I will tell the one story. Way back when I was in West Virginia, and we were recruiting a guy named Noel Devine, who was a phenomenal player out of Florida, and he didn't sign on signing day. And the expiration date for the letter of intent was the end of March, I believe, at the time. Well, finally, a month and a half later, when we finally convinced him to sign with us at West Virginia, you know, his letter of intent that he had expired. And so I was going crazy, yelling at the coaches, like, are you kidding me? So I thought, this is like 10 o'clock, 2 hours ago before the expiration time for the letter of intent. And we found out that we could fax a letter of intent to him. We had him go to a local Kinko's, and whatever you call it, down in Fort Myers, Florida. He got it faxed, he signed it, and faxed it back to us with like 10 minutes to spare, right before midnight. I said, we almost screwed up one of the best recruits we've ever had in West Virginia. He wound up coming there and graduating 4 years and having a great career. But it was a little scary for a couple hours there.